Here in the Bay Area, a group of pro-Palestinian protesters are now facing criminal charges. The protesters are accused of locking themselves inside the president's office on campus in June of last year and causing hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage. 11 of the protesters were indicted by a grand jury last week. Their supporters held a rally outside their arraignment today at the Santa Clara County Courthouse, calling for those charges to be dropped.
There was no reason to bring these charges, no reason to charge this case like this, no reason to seek an indictment.
Our Kelsi Thorud has a closer look at the charges and at what comes next.
Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
I'm not scared, and I'm not going to be scared.
11 current and former Stanford students stood outside the Santa Clara County Courthouse just minutes after being arraigned on conspiracy and felony vandalism charges related to last year's pro-Palestinian protest and takeover of a university office. Flanked by their lawyers and supporters, they called out what they say are sham charges.
They are political in nature. They are extreme.
A grand jury indicted the 11 last week for what the DA's office says is their involvement in the break-in and occupation of the Stanford president's office back in June of 2024. The DA says the defendants used hammers and crowbars to break into the office at 5:30 a.m., barricading the entrance with office furniture and spraying the room with fake blood. The occupation lasted nearly 3 hours, causing anywhere between $360,000 to $1 million worth of damage. The DA's office would not make anyone available for an interview today, but DA Rosen spoke in April when the charges were first filed about the sophisticated planning involved.
They had operational plans, they had lookouts, they were scouting out the area to see what time either uniformed police officers or private security would be around.
The defendants are not only calling for their charges to be dropped, but they are also calling out the DA for using a grand jury to indict them instead of waiting for the preliminary hearing.
The district attorney opted to engage in a secret, private, one-sided grand jury indictment process.
Word of the grand jury indictment came as defense lawyers and their clients were preparing for the preliminary hearing that just had been moved to a later date. Stephen Clark, a former prosecutor, told us everything about this case is unique.
The DA took a very unusual tactic by taking this case to the grand jury. What they're saying is that this was a conspiracy to commit vandalism, and they're casting a very wide net here. And I think the big question moving forward is, are they going to quell free speech by bringing prosecutions for felonies like this?
Rosen made a point in April to say there is a difference between free speech and destroying campus property.
Dissent is American. Vandalism is criminal.
A trial date has been set for November 17th. Stephen told me he doubts the trial will actually begin that quickly, given the size of this case and the number of defendants. But if and when it does begin, he says jury selection may be the most important phase.
How does a jury in Santa Clara County look at this issue? Because we are a very progressive area and we do respect free speech rights. The question will be, will a jury return a guilty verdict when these important constitutional rights are at stake?